David, you driving? You're winning and driving and driving and winning.
I'm in a cab, but Fred, you've got a nice win, right? Since the last time.
Well, I do. I have a win. So yes, indeed. So it was one that we've been working on for quite a while. It's a customer in Mexico, actually.
Awesome.
And have to admit, Matt, that David came and helped me out quite a bit because some of the things that he learned. In fact, when we were discussing the final offer, because the customer came back yet again for another request for a discount.
Yep.
We held firm, and I believe that we can honestly say, David, right, that this is one of the things that has come from our experience with Easton University. So we thank you for that.
Boom.
And it helped.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Fred, quick question, and please answer honestly. Scary holding firm on that price, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's terrifying.
I purposely didn't form an opinion, okay, because I felt like it could go either way.
Yeah.
And we were just going to wait it out. In fact, it went over a weekend, so made it that much worse.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Let's unpack that quickly. Why do you think somebody wants a discount? Let's try and get to the outcome of the outcome of the outcome of the outcome. Why would I ask you for money off? What's the thing that bubbles up to the surface first? What do you think of first when you think of your answer to that question? Why would I ask you for a discount?
Well, I think in this particular case, it was the customer realized they didn't take everything into consideration. Okay. Yeah. We presented all the facts, but I think they failed to consider all of the conditions.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't see all the value, right? Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yes, absolutely. That's a fair statement.
Okay. So if we discount the price, does that help them see the value, or does that lower their expectations? I mean, because let's seriously break this down, right? Like, if I'm not seeing the value in something, right? Ideally, we would like them to see that value, right? Let's take this in personal terms. If I was going to ask somebody to marry me, right? I would want them to marry me because they like me, right? And they see the value in me versus I just don't have any other options, right? So would you agree with the statement that if somebody doesn't see the value, the ideal outcome is to get them to see the value? Yes?
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm breaking this down, not for you, Fred, because you clearly know what you're doing. You close the deal. But for all of us, this is an important exercise for us to go through, right? So if we can all agree that, yeah, if somebody doesn't see the value, we want them to see that value, does lowering the price meet our objective? No. Do you see the value at a lower price?
No, I think, yeah, in this case, you know, the value was there. I think they got a little bit nervous. But again, like I said, you know, at least we were confident in the value that we do have.
Sure, yeah.
That came through.
Perfect, and we're confident, and that's something that we go through in the training, right? To the degree that we are sold on our value will be the degree that we can sell other people on the value. But this is a really interesting point, because you get off on this wrong path because somebody's not seeing the value, and so we reduce the price, because that's what they ask for. They're never going to say, I just don't see the value. They might not even know that, but that doesn't help them see the value at all, and in fact, it actually makes it worse. If I don't see the value and you reduce the price, that's a validation that the value wasn't there, right? And that's a really interesting thing to think about. If they don't see the value by us reducing our price, we actually validate that little monster that pops up on their shoulder and it's like, don't go with these guys, they're ripping you off, they're overpriced. Now we get, I told you so, right? So reason number one to hold firm on our price. Reason number two, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is if I reduce the price, I'm training you not to buy from me. Because how are they supposed to know, right, that they got the best deal? Because if I go to Fred right now and say, hey, Fred, can you guys lower it 4%? And Fred goes, man, I'm talking to David. You know what? If David can just, David doesn't want to fly out to Mexico City. That's expensive. If we can get this done before David comes out, yeah, we'll do the 4% for you, right? Now I'm going to go after I get that. Cool. That's great. Was that the most I could have gotten? Right? And now I'm going to come back and go, you know what? I'm really sorry. I hate to do this to you, but I talked to Tony, our CIO, and we just don't think that it's going to cost us more to get this role. We're just going to need a little bit more to get the deal done. Well, what are you talking? Well, I really feel like we can get this across the goal line if we take that 4% discount, make it a 10% discount. Okay, yeah, I'll do that, right? How do they know where it stops? And even if they buy along that one of those stops of that discount train all the way to zero, when they get off at that stop, they're constantly going to go, could I have gotten a better deal, right? So that's not a good situation. The other thing that we want to make sure that we do is build up their value, build up their certainty, build up their confidence. And I'm glad you brought it up, Fred, because that's what I want to talk about are these PRR responses, right? They're price reduction responses. And this is, I believe, because I know David's been hammering this course left and right, this is probably what you guys did. What I want to do on the call today, this is something that if we're not prepared for this ahead of time, in the heat of battle, in the middle of the game, right, when there's 20 seconds on the clock and we've got a score, right, if we haven't prepared this ahead of time and know this in our head ahead of time, we're not going to be able to go to it, right? So what's going to happen is the meeting is either going to get tabled, the discussion is going to get tabled, we're going to say something that doesn't work well for us, like, you know what, let me talk with David and see what I can do on discounts because you're not prepared really quickly. So a PRR response is a response that you have, and you can have these responses preloaded to their request for a reduction in price. We're going to talk about that for a minute, and then we're also going to talk about gives and gets. Gives, something you're going to give them, and gets, something you're going to get from them. Because the only way to let them know, hey, you are getting the best deal. And the number one reason why somebody asks for a discount is they want to know they're getting the best deal. The best way for me to communicate that they're getting the best deal is to do a give-get. What that means is, sure, I'm willing to give you something, right? And hopefully that give is not going to be a reduction in price, but I need to get something in return. When we enter a relationship in a quid pro quo situation, quid pro quo, you give me something, I give you something. I give you something, you give me something, right? It's a much better way to negotiate. But what we need to do, and what I would like some volunteers on this call, let's just strategize on some things that we can give and what we would like to get in the meantime. Let me give you some examples, because some of you may be saying, I don't run my own business, right? I'm not qualified to be giving things away. There's plenty of things that you can give away without trying to get your manager's approval. There's also things that you can give away that you could talk to your manager right now and say, hey, in order to I want to have a big second half of the year, there's going to be some deals that are going to ask me for a discount. I don't want a discount because number one, I'm training them not to buy from me. And number two, that comes out of my commissions and our top line revenue. So what I would like to do is I'd like to offer bump, 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 bump. Will you across the board approve me giving these things away so I don't have to come to you? Because if I do this in the heat of a negotiation, if I say I need to check with David, right, we're gonna lose all momentum, right? And then you can talk to your leadership and get them to approve it, right? I would much rather have you guys like running autonomously and know, okay, well, here's the guardrails that we have set up, and as long as I stay within these guardrails, leadership is cool with it. But another thing, even if you're not going to go to leadership, there's certain things that you can give as a sales rep. And I did this back when I was a young sales rep out there, all the companies I worked for. I sat down and thought about things that I could give that didn't require manager approval, right? Like, for example, when I was in software, how about I come on site and I will be here on site for the installation. I will be here on site for the installation to make it go easy, right? Or I'll come back on site. I know we have trainers, but I'm local. I'll come back on site and check in with you guys once a month for the next 3 months, right? Whatever it is, you can come up with something. And by the way, those things most of the time are more valuable than any price discount because it's showing that you're bought in, you're sold, and you're confident. Most salespeople would never ever suggest, "Oh, I'll be here after the sale," because they want to churn and burn, right? They want to run and go on to the next one. They're afraid of what's going to happen. That's a great, hey, I will give you and what I need from you. So now you have to ask them for something else. And we talked about this in other courses. You can ask them for a testimonial. You can ask them down the road for a reference. You can ask them to add additional users if it's a software type package. You can ask them to buy more if it's a hard goods type thing. You can ask them to put the order in earlier. You can ask them to purchase the additional warranty, whatever it is. Now, the whole point of me struggling to come up with that list is exactly what I need you guys to do. You've got to figure out what are some things that I can ask for, right? I want you guys to give me something you could give a customer other than a discount and something that you can ask for. Because if we don't think of these now, we're never going to think of them when we're in the heat of negotiation. I'll go. I'll give you an example with Easton University, right? So I may want somebody to close on the $3,000 a month group package, right? And I can say, I will give you an additional hour of live coaching with your people if you purchase 1 hour from me. So hey Matt, we'd really like a discount, right? You'd like a discount? Yeah. I mean, we're just trying to get this over the goal line. I totally get it. You guys have had the pricing for a month, if I'm not mistaken. What's changed? We talked to David. He's getting ready to do it, but David, he just wants to get a discount on things. Now, I think when we had talked about this, that having the sales training, you guys foresee this is going to be at least a 10% increase in your ability to close deals. And if I'm not mistaken, that comes out to about $90K a month in additional revenue for the organization. Does it make sense to get started now? I mean, yeah, that all totally makes sense. But David, he just wants to get a deal. Totally get it. Totally understand. I want to do something special for you guys. Here's what we can do. Let's get started on the $29.99 a month package. We'll get that. And then if you guys can purchase a 1 hour virtual event, that's where we can do a deep dive with engineering, for example. What I will do is I will give you an additional 1 hour event. You can have that credit in your account. You can use it whenever you'd like. So that way you're not only getting the normal package, but you're getting an additional 1 hour deep dive live with me. Does it make sense to move forward, right? A lot of times, all that person wants to know when they're constantly, and if you caught that, they asked me for a discount 3 times before I even offered to give them something. They just want to make sure they're getting the best deal. Now, if they have that conversation with somebody, they're going to go back to leadership and go, man, the Easton University, they're firm on their price, right? Those guys, it is what it is. So I feel confident that we can't get a better deal, okay? And I know that this system works because there's people that are trained, GE negotiation, that's a GE class for negotiation. They're trained to ask for that discount 3 times, okay? And those are the toughest negotiators in the world. You have to stand firm all those 3 times. And like we were talking about with Fred, that is the hardest thing to do. It is scary. It is tough. But you got to realize on the other side of that is going to be a close, right? Nobody is going to be so offended that you're firm with your price that they hang up the phone on you and never call you back again. And if they do, that was somebody that was never going to buy. That was your competition just shopping for a price. So my give that I gave was an hour virtual event, which is worth $1,500. And the get that I asked for them is they need to buy a virtual event, right? You could also make it as simple as I'll be here for the installation, but I'd like a video testimonial. Somebody give me an example of some gets for you. Because you guys are going to do this on your own anyways after this call, because you need to do it. but you might as well get a start now. Who's got an example of one thing that they would give or get?
I just had a big one that, yeah, thanks. I had a big deal that closed a few weeks ago that they were pushing back on some things, and we had some negotiating points, but basically it came down to, hey, if you will sign this deal by the last day of the month before midnight, I will give you this little tiny itty bitty discount. And I gave them one other service that they wanted. It was very, very minimal. And the deal came in at midnight on the last day of the month.
Perfect.
You know, so that was a great get.
Yes. Yes. And those work. And I'm fine. Again, I'm fine with giving a little discount on the price. The only reason why I just don't do that is on the times when they don't get it in by midnight, right? They still know they can get that little discount in price. It's really hard.
I didn't even give them a discount on the price. I gave them a rebate on another product that they had purchased, and they didn't like that much.
Perfect. And I think the key to everything is that you ask them for something else, right? When I ask for something else, they know, right? Like, and that's in the PRR workflow, that's one of my favorite things, right? That I love. Like, hey, can I get a discount? Absolutely. Right? We can lower the price, David. Is there anything in the recommendation that you'd like to take out? Boom. Yeah. You got to just let them know. And when you ask them, is there anything you want to remove? That lets them know we're at a stopping point. And then if you say, but I can give you something and keep it the same way, but I need something additional for you, again, it just reaffirms that we're at a stopping point. We just have to communicate to them that we're trustworthy, we're above the boards, we have high integrity, we have high credibility, and we believe in our value. And the only way to do that is to constantly, whenever we give them something, we have to get something in return. Chad, you had something.
Yes, great practice here, Matt. Basically, I had a team in Boston. They were spending about $15K on lead gen with me, and the guy was about to pull back and scale it down to 5K. And I was like, look, listen, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to coach your team on call conversion. I'm going to review their calls with them one-on-one every single week. But what I need you to do is I need you to commit to another 6-month contract with me, no cutting back at the existing 15K spend. And should conversion rate go up, can you verbally promise me as a friend that we're going to double your spend? And he's like, yeah, if you can increase my conversion rate from 4% to even 6%, Chad, I'll double it up, no problem. Because money's not a problem. I'm hiring more people. So I basically did that. And then I would coach each individual. I would send them a recap email with a breakdown and then CC him. He called me. He was freaking out. He's like, this is amazing. He's like, I'm so happy you're helping out. He's like, if I hired a real estate coach in my area for the Boston market, they charge anywhere between 10 to 20K a month, a retainer fee. He's like, you're doing this for free, nothing out of pocket. I'm definitely going to double with you, and maybe we might even triple. And then that time came, we doubled up, and then now we're growing aggressively.
Number one, Chad, you're going to be one of the greatest coaches in real estate. I can feel it because you gave them 30 grand worth of value. But you just basically did a perfect summary of what we were talking about in the beginning. When he wanted to go from 15K to 5K, it wasn't about 10K, was it?
No.
It was he didn't see the value. And I don't even think it was he didn't see the value because he was an existing client. Let's just be honest here. He wasn't getting the value, right? But the problem was not you, Chad. The problem was not your campaign. What was the problem? The problem was his people. You were delivering on your promise and his people were not, correct?
Correct. No accountability on his end. Plus, the previous consultant that had the account, they were just checking in with him once every other month. And I was checking in with him proactively once a week for 10 to 15 minutes.
Now, do you mind, can I just grab my crystal ball and tell you what would have happened had you gone the other way?
Please.
If you had lowered to 5K, here's what would have happened. As a business owner, and I've owned marketing companies in the past, here's what would have happened. In another 60 days, he would have called you to cancel out the account completely because one of two things would have happened, okay? Number one, he would have realized that his people were screwing up and he would have fired a bunch of them, and always marketing gets thrown out with the bathwater, right? We're just going to make a whole fresh start here, right? New people, or worse for him, not for you. It's still just as bad for you. In 60 days, he would have canceled because some other sales rep would have come in with a new promise of performance, and he would have said, yeah, I'll give you guys, Robert, I'll give you a try. Let's up the spend. And he would have, instead of doing 15K with Robert, he would have probably done 25K with Robert. Because the problem, he was basically, what he was doing was backing himself out of doing business with you, but he couldn't really put his finger on you being the bad guy. So he's just going to slowly back his way out, right? So you handled that absolutely perfectly. And you gave a perfect example. And I know some people are like, man, I would never do that. I know what Chad makes per year, right? If you guys knew what Chad made per year, you would do everything that Chad does. Because Chad ain't hurting for money, okay? Let's just put it that way. Chad is not hurting for money. But Chad was also willing to go, I'll do this on my own. Chad, did you have to check with your leadership to be able to give that guy additional service?
No, I haven't. And even if my manager said something, as long as it's ethical and nothing behind their back, you could ask for forgiveness.
Right. And I don't think your manager would say anything. I think your manager would give you a big hug and be like, hell yeah, Chad, that's great. You know, your manager would probably even allow you to expense the lunch during the trainings. I don't know. But when I worked for, I'm not going to name names, but a big payroll company, I mean, that was something that I did. Right? Hey, we're really scared about moving over to you guys. And I knew this account was like a $17,000 commission for me. How about we do this? Something even as simple as, when is our first? We're going to run a phantom payroll, because that's what we did back in payroll. There'd be a phantom one, meaning it's fake one, but we're just moving the money around fakely to make sure everything worked. And then we're going to run a phantom one in 2 weeks, and then we're going to run the real one 2 weeks after that. How about we do this? Right? I'm going to show up for both of those, and I'm just going to be here. If you guys have a cubicle for me, that'd be great. If not, that's fine too. I'm going to physically be here on location for both of those first iterations of payroll. And you know how many people took me up on that? Right? Like 10% of them. The rest of them were like, no, Matt, dude, you don't need to do that. Right? You're busy. You don't need to do that. And I said, absolutely, I want to do that. You guys, I want to make sure that you guys are certain that this is the right way to go. No, we're certain. We just wanted to make sure that we're getting the best deal. Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure now, right? Let's go ahead and do it, right? And I want to be here for you guys. You let me know. I'm going to block out these days on my calendar. I will not travel, right? Only 10% of them were like, man, that would make us feel better. But even that 10% where they were like, that makes us feel better, that was clearly what the problem was. It was not that they wanted lower pricing, it's that they weren't confident that we were going to do what we said we were going to do when we said we were going to do it, right? Who else has a give-get?
Yeah. I got something on that last point. It's Corey. For those of you that are in SaaS or any sort of like service that's online, and you're remote, you're not local to them, you could offer that same exact thing, but over Zoom, and then this is what you get. The powerful part of Zoom that you wouldn't get in person is you can record it, because a lot of things are very step by step, and having a recording of that they can come back to time and time again is basically you're providing them training, like ongoing training essentially. So that's a huge little thing that really doesn't cost you anything more than already providing that value, and just one more extra thing that will be a slam dunk hopefully to help you get the deal.
100%. It's not about the money. I was going to say, I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say 100% of the time it's not about the money, right? It's just not. Because they could, if they didn't see the value, they could not do business with you and save all of the money. Right? You want a discount? I'll give you 100% discount. Let's not do business. It's not about the money. It's about something else. And that something else, oftentimes, we think, oh, well, the something else is they don't see the value. They could see 100% of the value, right? They could see 10x of your value, right? We're going to give Easton University $3,000 a month. I know we're going to make 30, but still ask for a discount. because they want to make sure that they're getting the best deal. People want to win. People don't want to be taken advantage of. Unfortunately, what they're asking for is like trying to put out a fire by throwing gasoline on it, right? Yeah, I want to make sure I'm getting the best deal. Give me a discount. Okay, there's your discount. Well, wait a minute, then clearly I was not getting the best deal before. And if I didn't ask you for that, I would have been ripped off. Who wants to start a conversation like that? Like, who would want to start a relationship like that? The world of sales has completely changed. Today's customer has access to more information. Today's customer has more choices. The business world needs you. Studies have shown that 84% of salespeople fail to achieve their goals. The old sales training, well, it just doesn't work today. I'd like to teach you how to take the stress out of selling in a way that's meaningful to you and your customers and get you 7 times more business. I'll show you how the perfect sales process works. I'm gonna walk you through everything from prospecting to closing the deal. I'm gonna show you how to determine your prospects' wants and their needs so you can build value in your solutions. You will learn how to handle any objection or complaint. I'm gonna show you how to connect with your customer so it's easy for them to buy from you. I've taught the best companies in the world and thousands of people just like you how to hit their targets. Selling is complicated. I'll simplify it for you. There's more competition than ever before. I'm gonna show you how to be number one. All of a sudden, your career is gonna make perfect sense, even if you've never worked in sales or the corporate world before. And for the advanced sales professionals, I'm gonna show you how to take things to the next level. Easton University is a new, simple, step-by-step process that's effective in any industry, large or small. You are about to become a certified master sales consultant. I'm Matt Easton, and this is Easton University.